So when you figure drinking water is half of your, less than half of your sewer, because it takes more for the sewer side than it does for the drinking water.
Mr. Carl, I hate to run y'all, unless you.
Yes, sir.
No, that's fine. You don't rest your 3 minutes, so
No.
go ahead and finish your question, Ken. Go ahead.
No, it's not gonna go anywhere.
Okay, yeah, well, I appreciate it. I don't want to throw a tomato at you.
The new wing, have they considered any of that? How much water is that? Is that gonna make enough to, the new wing at the school?
That's part of it.
It's gonna be a big,
Is that considered in it so far?
So that's a big question mark too.
no, it's
That's
actually
taking
a
up a
big
lot of your
deficit,
water.
because it's got chiller units, and I asked the same thing if you go back on TV and look. The chiller units is the biggest consumption of water. So, yes, in my simple mind, it should have been thought of by somebody.
And we've been working on this for 4 years. Right?
No, sir, I've not been
We
working.
got, hey, listen, hey, we'll get into the water meeting. There's gonna be time we get this water meeting, so let's not make it a water
So in
meeting.
conclusion, what I would say, there's nothing nefarious going on here. These are legitimate concerns we have at these utility meetings that we're trying to address and figure out the best route forward.
For every day.
Yeah. That's what I'm getting at. And to assert anything else into that really is grasping.
So with us supposed to have water here now,
You do have water here now.
no doubt, yes, our water, but the line that was supposed to be here now, for 4 years, what have you been doing? If these questions are now, obviously B&B wasn't a question then 4 years ago, was it?
Well,
It ain't been 4 years.
well, sales tax.
That's when this
I've been
started.
on the board 4 years.
This-
been a while.
No, the utility has been designing for 4 years.
Travis, there's a lot of things happened in 4 years. Sales tax come on board with school, that's how the school was getting built, sales tax. That wasn't in plan 4 years.
But tell me,
It
what
wasn't in
needs
plan 4 years
water?
ago, you know. We're struggling too with sewer. I mean, it's a whole, you know, you can have a plan, but as you find out new information, that plan has to change and you have to adapt to that.
Rocky, what
information.
you just said, though, and I think that's the board here's its question is, you just made the comment. And that's what we're very concerned about, because you're saying we're struggling. But we want y'all to come on and be a partner. Well, and we got big questions about that, okay? Well, if they're already struggling, and we've been part of that struggle.
Well, the struggle is financial, not anyway else.
Exactly. So now we want to hitch our wagon to a bunch of horses that, I don't know.
That's up to y'all, I mean, you know, that's up to
That's
y'all.
the question, that's the question. And I'm,
What you got, Dan?
we'll go, listen, I don't want to turn into a water authority.
Just real brief.
Please, I gotta get through this agenda, so.
Okay, just real brief if you would, please.
Yes, sir.
You are pretty much at the max of your consumptive use permit.
Right.
So you would have to do recharge and some other things to expand your consumptive use permit. Ellisville is not at the max of its consumptive use permit. We have roughly 200 to 300,000 gallons a day in Ellisville in the consumptive use permit. Now, the B&B's coming, there's some questions of long-term.
Right,
We're gonna need to do something, but there is the water there in Ellisville
right.
provided.
But how much, well, there again, how much can we provide? That's, I guess that's the million-dollar question. We're trying to provide now something in a town that's growing.
So we currently use about 25, 30,000 gallons a day. Permit is for, depending on whether you're looking at DEP or Swanee River, 250, 260 per day to 300 and something per day.
Right.
So there is capacity in Ellisville.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. King.
Yes,
I
sir.
didn't want to throw it at you, so. All right, anybody else with public participation? I'm trying to close it for an hour now. Okay. All right, it's closed. Nobody else. All right, let's go on to new business. Keep moving.
Okay, first on the agenda, Mr. Carl Harmon from Powell and Jones to go over the 21-22 fiscal, oh, you're not Carl Jones.
I'm not.
This is the last time we'll see this young man down there go by here property. He said, "Hey, y'all own me." Great. You don't go make it to his boss, he needs a raise. Go ahead, buddy. more paper, no. Gotcha. Yeah, if you can't, I'm trying to get there, I'm sorry, man.
I got it. Oh, I still hear it. All right.
Yeah, we, like I said, I'll try to be pretty brief on this, real quick.
What page we on? Number
Let's,
one?
let's jump to page 7.
Seven?
Didn't want to say, Carl, he had to go to the hospital today and stuff like that, so, yeah, I think he's doing all right, never did that, but, you know, so, you know, just throwing it out there today. And if y'all are used to seeing Carl out here.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just to begin with, we conduct our audit with, in accordance with government auditing standards, and auditing standards usually accepted in the United States, which is normal. The goal in an audit is to get a clean opinion or an unmodified opinion. And so basically what that means is that the numbers that are presented in the report are reliable. If you're going to make a decision based on these numbers, it's not going to skew that person's decision. So with that said, if you look at paragraph 2, it says, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly. That means we did give an unmodified opinion, meaning in our opinion, the numbers presented herein are reliable to use. Within this report, you have both the government financial, your basic financial statements, which have been audited, and that's what we render opinion on. You also, on page 8, it just kind of discusses a few more of the information in there. You have a management discussion analysis, which we'll talk about in a second, and then budget versus actual. These are both required to be included. They're not audited, but they are based on audited information. So, page 10 is the MD&A, or the management discussion analysis. We're not going to look at it today, but I would encourage you guys to read it at a future point in time. Because it has important information or useful information.
Hello?
Go ahead, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. Go ahead, bud.
Yes, sir. Sorry about that. So if you guys go to page 16, the powers that be in government auditing requires to present financial information in 2 ways. One is more of a business type format, where you see accrual-based accounting, and the other is more of an immediate resource, basically what comes in and what's out. What comes in and goes out, it's more readable that way. Practically the main difference that you're going to see on the 2 different styles is one's going to have capital assets and debt on it, and the other one's not going to have capital assets and debt on it. Page 16 and 17 are going to be the business type, and this really only impacts your general operations as opposed to your utility funds. 18 is what I want to direct your attention to. This is the fund-based accounting. This focuses more on resources coming in and resources coming out. It's probably helpful with budgeting and what have you. These right here. One thing we want to look at, obviously you have assets and liabilities on here. Assets are things that you guys have or people owe to you, or liabilities are what you owe to other people, or what you have unearned revenue here, which is related to ARPA funding and stuff like that. That's money that you received but you haven't spent out yet as an expense. So, but the thing you want to look at is your fund balance. That's $441,000. Again, in your general operations, or your general fund here, that $441,000. One thing we like to look at that kind of gives us a frame of reference for interpreting it is if you guys spend the same way that you guys have been spending in general fund, how many months is this unassigned balance cover? And what we like to see is maybe at least 4 months, and you guys had 10.5 months as of 9/30/22. Moving on to page 19, just kind of looking through your revenues and expenses. Big revenues are going to be taxes, intergovernmental things like grants. You guys received a few grants here, and donations this year. And overall, revenues over expenses in this, you guys netted $128,000 on the year in governmental. Your general operations, yes, sir. If you move to page 21, this is going to be for your utility fund here. I'm talking about utilities. you know, again, we talk about assets and liabilities. One thing you'll notice on this is you do have capital assets. This is more business type. You look at how a business operates and everything, you're gonna see your capital assets and your debt. We'll talk about capital assets in a little bit. Long-term debt, really the only debt you guys have on the books is that SR loan for about $12,000. It's not a lot. You look at your net position. Again, this is gonna be all your assets minus your liabilities, and you have about 1.1 million in your net position. A lot of that's tied up in capital assets. That's that 840,000 number right there at the bottom. The rest of it is unrestricted, can be used on, you know, general operations.
Is that before 434?
That's, sorry, say it again, sir?
The 434, what you?
Sorry, on page 21, that's that 312, 478.
Okay, I got you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the unrestricted, I got you.
Yes, sir, sorry about that.
Okay, that's okay.
Moving on, operation-wise, things I want to, page 22, this is revenues versus expenses here. We had an operating loss of 603, but a lot of that was related to the grant revenue reimbursed, was reimbursable by the grant revenue below that 587. So you came out pretty much even on the year in utilities, everything held equal. And again, your net position at the end of the year is at 1.1 million. You guys have flipped to page, sorry, I believe it's page 31, only if you're interested. But we talked about how there were two different types of governmental accounting, or two different types of accounting that are presented here. One is more fund accounting, the other one is more accrual-based accounting. We just kind of showed how you guys, there's a conversion statement there, just like what, if you look at it, you can see what the difference is. That's page 31 and 33. 31 is going to be your balance sheet, 33 is going to be more your income statement. And this only applies to your